रीड नेपालद्वारा तानसेन नगरपालिका पाल्पाको समन्वयमा तथा देववाणी संस्कृत तथा साधारण मावि, जनप्रिय मावि र लुम्बिनी मावि पाल्पाको सहकार्यमा उत्पादित यो कार्यक्रम ग्रिन तारा नेपाल, फेडो नेपाल र रीड नेपालबाट संयुक्त रूपमा सञ्चालित स्ट्रङ गर्ल्स प्रोजेक्टको एक अंश हो। यसमा करुणा जर्मनी तथा जर्मन सरकार BMZ को आर्थिक सहयोग रहेको छ। कोभिड-19 को कारणबाट घरमै रहेका बालबालिकाहरूको पठन पाठनमा सहजता ल्याउने उद्देश्यले यो हेर्दै सिक्दै कार्यक्रम तयार गरिएको हो।
My dear students, how are you? Are you fine? Perhaps you are fine. In today's class, we are going to talk about subordinating conjunctions, types of subordinating clauses, and some examples related with subordinating conjunctions. Okay, here let's talk about subordinating conjunctions and subordinating clauses. There are three kinds of subordinate clauses. They are adverb clauses, adjective clauses, and noun clauses. When we join with subordinating conjunction, this part becomes subordinating clause or subordinate clause. There are three types of subordinate clauses. They are adverb clause, adjective clause. Adjective clause is also known as relative clause and noun clause. An adverb clause can do the function of an adverb. It means an adverb clause can give the answer of why question, where question, how question, etc. Some examples of an adverb clause. While I was in Pokhara, I learned the Gurung language. This is one sentence. This sentence has two clauses. While I was in Pokhara is a subordinating clause. I learned the Gurung language. It is the main clause. I learned the Gurung language is the main clause because it can stand on its own. While I was in Pokhara is a subordinating clause because it can't stand on its own. Here, while I was in Pokhara gives the answer of when question. That's why it is an adverb clause. Next, because my father was poor, he could not send me to a famous university. It is a sentence. In this sentence, there are two clauses. One is because my father was poor, and next clause is he could not send me to a famous university. Here, because my father was poor is an adverb clause because it gives the answer of why question. It is a subordinating clause because it can't stand on its own. He could not send me to a famous university. It is an independent clause because it can stand on its own. And next, if you pass, I will give you a prize. It is one sentence. It has two clauses. If you pass is a conditional clause. I will give you a prize. It is a main clause. Here, I will give you a prize can stand on its own. It is main clause. If you pass is a subordinate clause because it can't come alone. It needs the help of another clause. That is, I will give you a prize. Here, if you pass is an adverb clause because it shows the condition. He went to school so that he could gain knowledge. In this sentence, there are two clauses. He went to school is main clause, so that he could gain knowledge. It is a purpose clause. It shows the purpose of an action. So that he could gain knowledge is an adverb clause because it shows the answer of why question. Or in other words, we can say that it indicates the purpose. Although he did not study well, he passed with good marks. It is one sentence. In this sentence, there are two clauses. Although he did not study well, it is a subordinate clause. He passed with good marks. It is main clause. He passed with good marks is the main clause or independent clause because it can come without the help of another clause. Although he did not study well is a subordinate clause because it can't stand alone without the help of another clause. Here, although he did not study well is an adverb clause. Unless she works hard, she cannot succeed. It is one sentence. Even here, we see two clauses. Unless she works hard is a subordinate clause. She can't succeed is main clause. Unless she works hard is a subordinate clause because it has a subordinating conjunction. Due to the presence of a subordinating conjunction, any clause can be a subordinate clause. Here, she cannot succeed is the main clause because it can come alone. Now, let's talk about another type of a subordinate clause. An adjective clause can do the function of an adjective. Some examples of an adjective clause. Here, we are going to talk about an adjective clause. An adjective clause is also known as relative clause. Here, Ram, who studies here, is a student. Here, who studies here is a relative clause or an adjective clause. Ram is a student is a main clause. Here, who studies here is an adjective clause because it qualifies noun Ram. In other words, who studies here qualifies Ram. It describes Ram. So, it is an adjective clause or relative clause. I went to Ganakot where I was born. It is one sentence. In this sentence, there are two clauses. One is I went to Ganakot. Next one is where I was born. Where I was born is an adjective clause. In other words, it is known as a relative clause because it relates the antecedent Ganakot. I went to Ganakot is the main clause because it can come alone. Now, I am going to talk about a noun clause. A noun clause can do the function of a noun. It means a noun clause can be a subject of a sentence and it can be an object of a sentence. Noun clause can be the subject of a sentence. It means it can precede the verb. A noun clause can be object of a sentence. It means it follows the verb. What I did is mysterious. It is one sentence. Here we see what I did. What I did is a noun clause. It is a clause. Why? Because I is subject and did is verb. To be a clause, there must be subject and verb, finite verb. Here we see subject and finite verb, that's why it is a clause. What I did is mysterious. Here what I did is a noun clause. Why? Because it is subject of the sentence. What I did is subject, is mysterious is predicate. So we can say that it is a noun clause because the clause has become the subject of a sentence. Next, I knew that you are a student. Here, I knew is the main clause. That you are a student is a subordinate clause. Here, subordinate clause that you are a student has become the object of the sentence. I is subject, knew is verb, that you are a student is an object. That's why it is a noun clause. In other words, noun clause can be the subject of a sentence and an object of the sentence. There are mainly two functions of a noun clause. Now, let's reflect. Name the following subordinate clauses. It means there are 3 sentences. Which one is noun clause, which one is an adjective clause, and which one is an adverb clause. Now you have to name them. That he lives in Nepal is awesome. Awesome means very good. Here, that he lives in Nepal is a subordinate clause. It has worked, a function of a noun. It means it is the subject of the sentence. That's why it is a noun clause. That he lives in Nepal is awesome. It is one sentence. That he lives in Nepal is a subordinate clause. It has done the function of the subject. So we can say it is a noun clause. A noun clause can do the function of a subject and can do the function of an object. Here it has done the function of a subject, so it is a noun clause. I saw the boy whom everyone likes. Here I saw the boy is the main clause. Whom everyone likes, it is the relative clause. Relative clause is also known as an adjective clause. Here, whom everyone likes is an adjective clause, or it is a relative clause. Why? Because this clause qualifies the noun the boy. It is also known as relative clause. It is also known as an adjective clause. Because she was hardworking, she passed the exam. It is one sentence. In this sentence, there are 2 clauses. One clause is because she was hardworking. It is a subordinate clause because it can't stand on its own. She passed the exam. It is the main clause because it can stand on its own. Here, a subordinate clause because she was hardworking gives the answer of why question. That's why it is an adverb clause. Now let's talk about some examples related to when conjunction. When is a subordinating conjunction. Combine the separate sentences using when. He cut his finger. It is one sentence. It bled. It is another sentence. Here, by joining 2 sentences, we have to make one sentence. These sentences changes into clause. One clause is main clause and another clause is a subordinate clause. Now, he cut his finger. It shows the time. It bled. It shows the action. First and foremost, we have to find out which sentence shows the time and which sentence shows the action. When we join by using when should be put before the sentence which shows the time. Here, when he cut his finger, it is a time clause. It is a subordinate clause. It bled, it is the main clause. Here, when he cut his finger is a subordinate clause because we have used a subordinating conjunction when. When we join the sentences using when, we must find out which sentence shows the time. The sentence showing the time should be preceded by when. The bell rang. The boys left the classroom then. Here, the first part, the bell rang, shows the time. The boys left the classroom then. It shows the action. That's why we should use when before the bell rang. When the bell rang, the boys left the classroom. In this sentence, we have omitted the use of then because it shows the time. And time showing adverb should be omitted because we have used here when. Next, I lost my wristwatch. I was going to school at that time. Here, the first action shows the action, and the second sentence shows the time. First, my wristwatch, it shows the time. I was going to school at that time, it shows the action. So, when I lost my wristwatch, I was going to school. Next, people go to hospital. They are sick. Here, the first sentence shows the action and second sentence shows the time. That's why second sentence should be preceded by when. We should not say when people go to hospital, they are sick. It is wrong. We should say people go to hospital when they are sick. Here, when they are sick is a time clause. I left home. It was 10 o'clock. I left home. It is an action. It was 10 o'clock. It shows time. That's why the second sentence should be preceded by when. I left home when it was 10 o'clock. The boy saw the mask. He trembled. Even here, the first sentence shows the time and second sentence shows the action. Therefore, the first action or the first sentence should be preceded by when. When the boy saw the mask, he trembled. While. While is a subordinating conjunction. It should be used before a time clause. I was in India. It shows the time. I learned Hindi. It shows an action. That's why our sentence reads like this. While I was in India, I learned Hindi. He fell asleep. It shows action. He was doing his homework. It shows time. That's why he fell asleep while he was doing his homework. Next, he was in prison. He wrote a book. The first sentence shows the time. The second sentence shows the action. That's why the first sentence should be preceded by while. While he was in prison, he wrote a book. Don't speak. Action. I am speaking. Time. So, our sentence reads like this. Don't speak while I am speaking. Look right and left. It is action. You cross the road in the town. It shows the time. That's why the second sentence should be preceded by while. Look right and left while you cross the road in the town. Next. Darkness vanishes. The sun comes up. Here, darkness vanishes. Vanishes means disappears, goes away. It shows the action. The sun comes up. It shows the time. That's why it should be preceded by while. Darkness vanishes while the sun comes up. Age. Age is a subordinating conjunction. It shows the time. I was the watchmaker. It is the action. He repaired my watch. It shows the time. That's why I was the watchmaker. Age means here when he repaired my watch. The train whistled. Action. I reached the station. Time. So, the train whistled as I reached the station. The bottle broke. Action. She was cleaning it. Time. The bottle broke as she was cleaning it. When, while, and as are subordinating conjunctions, they precede the time clause. When we have to join the sentences by using when, while, and as, the first and foremost, we have to decide which part shows the time. The part showing the time should be preceded by when, while, or as. So, while, when, and as are subordinating conjunctions and they show the time. Now, let's talk about next subordinating conjunction although. You can use although, even though, and though in the same sense. Sometimes you may be given although, sometimes you may be given even though, sometimes you may be given though. He is 70 years old. It is situation. He is strong. It is unexpected result. When you are asked to join the sentences using although, you must decide which part is the situation and which part is the unexpected result. The part showing the situation is preceded by although. That's why although he is 70 years old, he is strong. Here, he is 70 years old is the situation. That's why this part has been preceded by although. God is everywhere. This part is situation. We cannot see him. This is an unexpected result. Although God is everywhere, we cannot see him. Here, God is everywhere has been preceded by although because it is situation. Surendra read the whole book. He understood nothing. Surendra read the whole book. It is the situation. He understood nothing. It is an unexpected result. That's why we should use although before Surendra read the whole book. So, our sentence reads like this. Although Surendra read the whole book, he understood nothing. When we are asked to join the sentences by using although, our first task is to find out which part shows the situation and which part shows the unexpected result. We have to use although before the part showing the situation. So, here we use although to show contrast or concession. One clause shows the situation and another shows the unexpected result. It precedes the clause showing the situation. Now, let's talk about another subordinating conjunction because. Combine the separate sentences using because. I will not toss the iron box. It is statement. It is very hot. It is reason. When we are asked to join two sentences using because, we must find out which sentence is the statement and which sentence is the reason. Because precedes the part which shows the reason. Here, I will not toss the iron box because it is very hot. The part or subordinate clause, it is very hot, has been preceded by because this part shows the reason, cause. The thief could not escape. Statement. There were policemen. Reason. That's why the thief could not escape because there were policemen. I was ill. This is the reason. I couldn't come. It is the statement. That's why our sentence reads like this. Because I was ill, I couldn't come. Here, I was ill has been preceded by because it shows the reason. One clause is the statement and another is the reason. Because comes before the clause referring to the region. In this class, we talked about some subordinating conjunctions. This much for today. Thank you. Goodbye.